PlayStation is betting big on esports. Square Enix had a bunch of cool announcements today. And I've got some thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the Justice League Snyder Cut. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. I don't have the microphone on. Okay, we're going to do that again. All right. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. I had to do it live today because we have some thoughts on the Justice League Snyder Cut, and it took me 4 hours to watch that freaking long movie. Thank you for the heads up right there. We have got a lot of fun things to get into, but at first, a couple of a quick housekeeping things. Today's episode is sponsored by the Gaming Stadium, Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments going on every weekend, and you won't want to miss out on the action. You can join up with them at tgs.gg. And today's rundown is dedicated to Goku, who was the first one in the room. And I see you there, Goku, and Mr. Mass Produce, and Robert Tolan, Ethan Jory, Hip Hop Dan. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us today. We've got some fun things to get into. Let's get started with Goku's rundown. All right, as you probably read across the internet today, PlayStation is getting into the esports game in a huge way. They have partnered with Endeavor's RTS, which is an esports business, part of the Endeavor agency, I believe, and they have bought EVO, the Evolution Championship Series. This is a fighting game esports juggernaut that is watched by everybody out there, and of course, Nintendo has participated in a lot of events in the past, and what they are saying at EVO, a lot of the management team is kind of staying the same, but what they're saying is that it's still going to be an open platform idea, so it's not going to be exclusive to PlayStation, but this certainly changes things up. Because, obviously this is now all owned by PlayStation, and it kind of speaks to the importance that fighting games and esports is going to be to Sony going forward. I think that this is going to be a really incredible avenue for them to shine a spotlight on all the partnerships that they have in the fighting game arena, no pun intended, with lots of different publishers out there, and clearly this is a way to keep these games kind of current and sort of top of mind. And I think what I've noticed whenever I've gone to a fighting game esports tournament or anything like that, even if it's kind of a smaller scale, is that it's incredibly inclusionary, and there's always this kind of welcoming attitude at these events. And I know, generally the vibe around EVO has been pretty good. There have been some controversies and some issues to work out, and now we're going to probably have new ones regarding Smash. But that is pretty huge news, and I think that's a pretty big endorsement of how big esports are getting in general. When a company as large as PlayStation steps up and says, "Yep, we're involved. We're getting behind this in a massive way," that's a pretty big deal. It's an interesting decision, though, to kind of specialize in fighting, because there's a lot of different ways that they could have gone. But I guess they like the way the EVO business has been run. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this EVO deal, and are you concerned about it? Are you worried about it? Do you think it's a good thing for everybody involved at EVO, or is it going to burn a lot of bridges and piss off some fans out there? Let me know. All right, we've got Square Enix in the news today as well. They had a bunch of big reveals, and I've got some trailers to kind of go through right now. One of the ones that was very interesting for me was the Space Invaders AR idea, because obviously Space Invaders goes way back. It's one of the first games that I remember seeing in the arcades and just having my mind blown that we were creating stories around these little tiny pixel creations. Well, now we are jumping forward quite a bit, and this is a really cool video kind of showcasing the cultural significance of Space Invaders. I recently reviewed a Space Invaders game, but now we're going to be doing Space Invaders in AR, and I guess it's taking advantage of sort of the camera functionality, the technology that everybody carries around with them in their pockets these days, which is kind of crazy. We don't really get a sense of what the game is going to be, but we can certainly kind of predict where they're going to go with that. Bubble Bobble was also featured, and I loved all of these developers up on screen giving us a little bit of a chat and a little bit of their history. and talking about their passion projects. Like these things have to go through a gauntlet of approvals, and the fact that these things are getting made is pretty crazy. And Bubble Bobble has been in the video game industry forever, and I can't remember the last time I talked about Bubble Bobble, so it's kind of crazy that we're talking about it today. I don't know how much we get a little bit of sense of Bubble Bobble 4. It's what I like about this is that it's clearly something that's made for everybody to enjoy and participate in. I thought that was cool. But obviously, we in the EP family here and hardcore gamers out there, we're all more excited, I think, about the sort of more hardcore type of games out there. You can't get much more hardcore than Tomb Raider in the Survivor trilogy that she has put together with the original Tomb Raider game in this trilogy, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I just talked about all of these games not too long ago. They're awesome titles. I guess it was on International Women's Day. Awesome games, super fun, lots of really cool details. Now they're all collected, all the DLCs included, and everything has been beautified, I think, to take advantage of modern consoles and PC gear out there. It's always been kind of aggressive with the way that it handles in different systems as well. There's always very technically minded, those games. Pardon me. We also got a taste of the co-op action that's going to be in Balan Wonderworld. I haven't played the demo. I heard that the demo wasn't very good. I haven't got the game yet, but it is interesting. Just getting the frog out of my throat. But it is interesting that we are getting some co-op play in this game. I hope that it kind of delivers. This looks like something that I really want to play with my kid when it comes out. Yuji Naka is involved. This is kind of like a high-profile new adventure in the spirit of Knights, maybe evoking a little bit of what Yuji Naka worked on with the Sonic the Hedgehog games back in the day with his excellent work at Sega. But we shall see. The jury is out. I don't know if this game is going to be that fun, but I sure hope that it is. And it's encouraging that, even though the demo came out and really didn't knock people's socks off, Square Enix is still stepping on the gas and giving this game some pretty heavy promotion. Was also happy to see that there's going to be a new Life is Strange game with a new character, new abilities, kind of a different story, different take. It's not going to be an episodic adventure. It's going to be broken up, so it's not going to be delivered episodically, but it will have kind of chapters and dole out the content in a way that we're familiar with the Life is Strange franchise. Really nice upgrade in visuals, and it looks like it's going to be, par for the course. Something really cool. I like this franchise quite a bit, so I'm excited to check this one out big time. Also today, the Avengers Next Gen upgrade hits, and I would guess if Blair Farrell is in the chat today, I don't know, I'm not sure if he's here today with us, but he's a big superhero video game fan, as we all know. He's probably downloaded this or checked this out already. I've heard that there have been some struggles with upgrading your save game on day one, but presumably that's all going to get figured out. I definitely want to dive back in and check this out again. Hawkeye is also part of the Avengers lineup as of today, so there's a whole sort of story element in there, and they're going through all of the upgrades right now in the trailer. Higher resolution textures, 4K at 60 frames per second. I mean, this makes me want to download this again and play. I honestly, I deleted Avengers. I had it running on my PlayStation 5 for a bit, but I deleted it off the PS5 because I wanted to check out this next-gen thing. But that's not the most exciting part about Avengers. They also teased that we're going to be getting Black Panther later this year. And so they take us into the jungles of Wakanda to start off, kind of keep it a little bit of a mystery. But I think almost right from the get-go, you see the Marvel logo, and then you're in the forest or in a jungle, and then you see the statues and the beautiful waterfalls. You know what's coming. So we get a little tiny tease, a little taste of Black Panther, which is great, and I hope that they do this character justice. I hope that this the campaign edition, because what they do when they introduce these characters is they give them a little bit of a story hook as well. I hope that it lives up to this character and the majesty of this character, and it's super fun to play in Wakanda. Obviously, this opens up a whole new world for us to explore in the game, too. So, not too bad from Square Enix. There are a couple of other games which I'll highlight in tomorrow's rundown. But I wanted to kind of end on Square Enix's superhero announcements because now we are shifting gears into nothing but superheroes. And we're going to start with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This airs tonight, I guess, at midnight Pacific time. Or tomorrow, if you're a sane person, you're going to be able to watch the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the final trailer that I'm running right now. So it's got some stuff that's for episodes that I have not seen. I've only seen the first episode, and I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry because nobody's seen this thing yet. But I had a really, really good time with the show. I can tell you that the visual effects are movie quality, and it starts off with a bang. And what's wonderful about this show is that, clearly we've got some time, just like we had time with WandaVision to really get to know these kind of obscure characters, somewhat obscure. They're still big in the MCU, but we don't know a whole bunch about them. And that's true also with Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson. But now we are going to dive deep into their psyches and into their backgrounds, into the people that they care about. And there's some darkness in this, and there's some heavy moments right from the get-go. But there's also, a real sense of virtuousness and a real sort of claiming of responsibility and an understanding of what's at stake. We're also going to be seeing some villains reappear from the MCU that we haven't seen in a little while. But I was impressed, and it's very, very different from what we saw with WandaVision. It is definitely in keeping, as you can tell from some of these action sequences, it's in keeping with the Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Winter Soldier film, and it's a lot of fun. And obviously, what they do is they kibitz. There's a lot of back and forth with these two characters, and they're really solid actors, and they're both incredibly charismatic, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun. I would hazard to guess that most of you would have been able to see WandaVision and some of the other MCU stuff over the years, and most of you are probably all lined up to go and check out The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I can tell you, I'm not going to score it or anything like that yet. I'll do little recaps, and I'll probably get into some spoilery stuff if I do what I did with WandaVision and go into it on the Friday episodes of the Rundowns. But I wanted to tie in all this superhero news today. But I'm giving it a thumbs up. I really, in the spirit of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, I'm giving it a thumbs up. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait for episode 2. I want to see the rest of it for sure. But that ain't all in this superhero universe. Obviously today, and why I had to go live with the show, I could not watch the Justice League Snyder Cut. It went live at midnight Pacific last night, and I watched a few minutes of it, but I was crashing. It was late, so I couldn't stay up the 4 hours to watch it. So I woke up this morning and watched it, but of course, little bits of email and work and stuff gets in the way, so I was pausing it for a bit, getting up. I had breakfast and lunch watching the show, watching the movie, and so I've got some thoughts on it. Again, I'm not going to spoil it because people are just tuning into it. I don't really have spoilery stuff to show off. I've got some trailer stuff to show off and some slides of some imagery. But what I can say is that all of the effort and the work that Zack Snyder has put into being able to get this made it's vindicated. Honestly, that's what I can say about this, is that it's not perfect, but it deserved to be made, and I'm really glad that he got a chance to make it. I feel like the 4-hour running time is indulgent. It's too much. There are lots of really slow, drawn-out scenes. I've had to cough, so give me 1 second here. I've been stifling it. It's so hard to get words out when you have a cough right there. All right. We are live, by the way. It's so long and drawn out that, you can feel that he wants to put everything he shot, it feels like, in the movie. And that's fine, because in the confines of your living room and on television as a streamed enterprise like the Justice League Snyder Cut is, it's kind of like you're watching a season of a superhero show. It's kind of like you're watching all of WandaVision unfurl. And the one thing that I definitely recognized, a lot of the plot sort of big moments follow what Joss Whedon ultimately delivered to us in the original theatrical cut, which I didn't hate, by the way, but now I do, because I really don't understand why Joss Whedon kind of took out all the stakes and made everything a lot messier and a lot sillier and goofier. I feel like there's some real peril that the heroes are in and that people around the heroes are in. There's a lot more emotional weight all the way through it. A lot of it is, super calculated and kind of forced and not very well written. I don't think that the script is superb at all. I do feel like the movie had to work really hard to bring people on board. There's a lot of exposition explaining what mother boxes are and who Darkseid is and who Steppenwolf is, and cool scenes, really elegantly illustrated from the guy that brought us 300 and Watchmen, and Man of Steel, obviously, with lots of beautiful tableaus and lots of slow-mo shots and lots of cool visual effects. It's a beautiful movie. It absolutely is. Visually, it's hard to kind of rip this apart. I love the action sequences with Batman. I loved the action sequences with Wonder Woman. The stuff with Henry Cavill returning as Superman actually gave me chills. I actually was really kind of really impressed with that, And everybody is honored much better in this film. It's too long, though, but Zack Snyder got screwed. There's no other way to look at it because he had a vision which may not have jived with everybody. It's too violent. It's too desaturated. God, the guy wants to make this a black and white opus. But it's his take, and there are lots of takes that are similar to that. There's lots of hyper-violent comic books that you can read that are very different than the business that the MCU is in. And so that opportunity should have continued to be something that existed for Zack Snyder, for sure, especially with the drama and the trauma that he went through during the making of this, which I'm not going to dive too deep into. But I think that there's a real sense of vindication when you watch this movie, and I think that there's a tremendous amount of entertainment value. I would still cut out an hour out of this for sure. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed the visual effects. I enjoyed the little cameos and surprises. Some of the visuals looked, a little slapped together. We see so many superhero effects from The Boys and all the CW shows and everything else. So there's a lot to compare it to and contrast it to. And some of the stuff looked a little TV-ish, like not quite at the caliber that we would want out of something like this. But man, to see all of these superheroes in action. I'm not a fan of Ezra Miller's Flash. I feel like the idea. I like the idea of him being a young guy that's trying to fit in with the group, but I don't think he's very well written. I think the actor is probably up to the task, but it's really hard to look at this actor and this character as it's defined and forget about Grant Gustin's excellent Flash. I'm not totally up to date on all the new episodes, and I watched some of the like season 5 of The Flash, and it kind of lost me a little bit. But I just love his emotional connection to that character, and it resonates. And I think Ezra Miller is just really hammy in performing it. But part of it is the script, too. The script is just not that great. I feel like the script kind of lets them down. Who I really enjoyed, though, was Ray Fisher. And I know a lot of people have been reading about that, but he is wonderful as Cyborg. And his character is filled with, real sadness and, just a totally traumatic, dramatic origin story that hits some really truthful, emotional points. And he plays it beautifully, especially for somebody that's kind of coming to the screen out of nowhere. I think this was like his first big breakout role. And it's hard not to, see the value that he brings to this movie and feel bad that he's had to go through all of this external strife, tied around the way that he was treated or the way that he's been talking about how he was treated by Joss Whedon. Because, none of us knows, but there's certainly been a lot of people kind of not only backing up Ray Fisher, but coming out with their own stories. When I think of the theatrical cut in contrast to this, it's so awful that there was just so much negativity around the whole gestation of Justice League. I think brought upon by the theatrical release of Batman versus Superman, which was an incredibly polarizing movie, trending to, a lot of people being really disappointed by it. Let's be truthful. And I think the Ultimate Edition of Batman versus Superman is a much better film. I watched that not too long ago, and it kind of teed me up to open my mind to Justice League from Zack Snyder, because I don't think that the intentions from the studio to kind of find a way back to some levity were a bad choice. They were just a bad choice to neuter a direction and a vision that was already in motion. And it let down all of the performers and all of the artists and all of the contracted people, all of these crafts people that work so hard behind the scenes to follow the guidance of Zack Snyder. And then it was all just completely scrubbed and muddied up and mixed up. And, there was no... And it was no wonder that most people watched the Justice League theatrical, which was too short for all of those hero tales and all of these villain. Like, there's just so many things, and you really see that in this 4-hour cut. But then, of course, Zack Snyder had more time to layer in more, threads and directions that we could go in the Snyderverse. But ultimately, I was very happy. I don't think it's a great 4-hour sit down. I think that there's definitely some moments of tedium, and if you're not caffeinated, be prepared for a little like okay, let's go. But you know what? It is vindication. It's a beautiful, beautiful superhero movie. That's very bleak and very dark, and there's some swearing and there's a lot of killing, a lot of shooting from superheroes, which I always have an issue with. But the action is pretty incredible, and the performances are pretty rock solid. There's just a lot of it. It's just a lot. It's like all of Zack Snyder's movies in one movie. It's kind of how it feels. So, your mileage may vary with the Justice League, with the Snyder Cut. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this movie. I do think it's worth watching if you have. I'm in Canada. I watched it on Crave, and so it was just part of the service there, and you can watch it on HBO Max. And I think it's coming to Blu-ray soon. But it is. I'm really bloody happy for Zack Snyder. That's how I feel. He's a father, and he's gone through hell, and his wife has worked with him on this, and he's gone through hell. He made a good movie. Didn't make the perfect Justice League movie in my mind, but a good movie with interesting characters and an interesting take, and I would watch more. I think that's the big question too, right? Do we want more in this direction? I want more, but I also want an alternative, because these heroes, as we know, they can exist in multiple forms. You know what? I want DC to figure out a Batman TV show and to do that character justice, no pun intended, to not sandwich him into the tropes, to find some nuance there, to pull on the 80-year history of the character, make him more of a detective. I still want that. That's why I'm so excited about the Matt Reeves movie. But I would like that, a different direction. I wouldn't mind this kind of more gritty, hard-boiled, definitely fanboying at whatever Frank Miller concocted, kind of Zack Snyder hero-verse. I think Cyborg should have an HBO Max show. I think Warner Brothers should clean up their bloody mess around this and go back to Ray Fisher and take the higher ground and make amends and say, we're going to give you a season of Cyborg guaranteed. There you go. Let's see how it goes. And I think I would win favor like you wouldn't believe. And Cyborg's an amazing character. I used to love Cyborg. He's my namesake, Victor Stone. I used to love Cyborg in the New Teen Titans. Just an awesome character. Now the animated show, he's hilarious as well with Beast Boy. And I know there's a Cyborg in the Teen Titans, but that's okay, man. The comics, and the multiverses out there, they let these characters exist in a bunch of different threads, and I think that can persist here as well. I don't know what the relationships are. I don't know if it's all just so messy and dirty and awful and ugly, and there's all kinds of contractual ties that make it even worse. But I have to say, I enjoyed watching this, and I don't know if I could just sit down and watch the whole thing again for maybe a year or 2 or 3. But I sure liked a lot of like key scenes and cool moments, Yeah, it's pretty damn cool. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to did I say his name wrong? Did I say, isn't it Victor Stone? I forget. What I'm going to try to do is kind of a spoilery deep dive on this movie as well over the next little while. So stay tuned for that. But my non-spoiler review on both Falcon and Justice League Snyder Cut is watch them if you can. I think you're going to be happy in either direction. You're not, I don't think you're going to be magnanimously over the top, crazy happy, like this is the best thing I've ever seen, kind of happy around Justice League. But it's hard not to feel good about, Zack Snyder being able to kind of find that redemption and get the movie out there. Yeah, so I wanted to share those thoughts with you guys. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm not going to stream today, but I'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new rundown for you and some more stuff as well. So we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier under this video when you see it in the archive, and when you see Justice League. I really want to read some of your thoughts. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, play forever.